It's interesting price action for election day. We've seen a really nice Bitcoin bounce come in over here off our critical zone of support at $67,000. Bitcoin did get down to the bottom of this range. It didn't quite get into that liquidity trap territory, so it is possible that we come back down there to grab that liquidity. We're going to get back to that a little bit later on in this video. But if you are excited for this video so far, ladies and gents, do me a favor and smash up those likes here as you are coming in. We've got a huge video for you guys today. Double check that you're subscribed and you've got the bell icon checked. And before I carry on any further, I want to know in the comment section right now, do you want an election day live stream? Let me know if you want to see something like that in the comment section right now, and we will forget about this video and I will just come straight on with an election live stream instead in a couple of hours. So let me know if you'd like that. We can go over how the markets are reacting and just over the results as they come in. But let me know about that in the comment section. Let's continue on here for now. We've seen Bitcoin's dominance reach a new high here, and it's pretty much exceeded my resistance range. So we're going to be coming to that in just a second. That's looking very, very interesting. And obviously Ethereum, in accordance with that, doing quite poorly today against Bitcoin. Alts in general are experiencing a little bit of a pump. Here's Pepe seeing some macro resistance right now. We've got Phantom seeing its first pump in a very, very long time. I mean, the first pump that it's had since the end of October, and before that, its last pump would have been like more than 20 days ago now. So definitely. Is it more than? I'm not sure. Close to 2 weeks. So we're definitely seeing the first pump in some time here on the market, and we're going to be diving into all of that. We've also, most importantly, seen some developments with traditional finance. So we're going to be watching that as we go on in this YouTube video as well. Again, all of that is also going to be covered in the election live stream. So if you guys want to see that, again, just let me know in the comment section. I can deal with that for you. But really nice support bounce here. We haven't quite come up to tackle our resistance yet, which I think is definitely problematic. I think the fact that Bitcoin hasn't quite managed to get up to its resistance level does imply that, we haven't actually reached our resistance yet. And the reason that that's important is this bounce doesn't really mean anything. And if anything, it's actually not very good, because it means that we've managed to come all the way back down to support, but we haven't been able to get that subsequent resistance hit yet. So I really want to see this hit coming in very quickly. The longer it takes, the more concerning it gets. But I think that, I'm willing to wait a maximum of kind of 48 hours from here. I'll give it a little bit of time. I'll give it 2 days. But if it's not able to get up to that resistance level soon, then I do believe that the best opportunities will be going to the bears, at least for a short-term perspective in this market here. So that's something I'm going to be watching out for quite closely as we go on here in this market. Now, the other things that I want to talk to you about are just how our indicators have gone. If we look at this on the 4-hour cloud, we're still not out of our 4-hour Ichimoku cloud. So if you like this indicator like I do, then this is going to suggest that there's further upside here. We do typically clear the cloud, but we've already done that. So, if you're really, really bearish, then you're actually going to say that, we've fulfilled our Ichimoku cloud. We don't need it anymore. We're going to have to see. This cloud tells you the same story, right? It tells you the exact same story that I'm telling you. In this case, the cloud is a little bit more patient than me. The cloud is offering 3.5 days of further support. I'm only saying 2 days until I want to see us coming quite firmly out of this kind of price range. So I do think we need a resolution here quickly. As far as our momentum goes for support on the daily time frame, what a phenomenal bounce so far on the daily time frame. Nothing out of the ordinary, exactly what we would be predicting, and so we need to see this materialize now. And it actually gives us a really obvious invalidation, right? The invalidation level for today is going to be this high at 70,500. If Bitcoin can get above this high, then it's probably getting above to its resistance level, and it's obviously more likely going to be breaking it as well. I don't know if we're going to get that lucky on election day, but we will have to see how it goes. Now, there's a lot more analysis we're going to get to here. We haven't even started really, but I want to show you a couple of tweets here that we've got. Kamala Harris taking the lead in Nevada, according to Polymarket here, which is obviously just a betting market. It's not a polling agency, and it's not even real votes. It's just people putting their money behind different ideas, and there is an expectation according to this market right now. And actually, we can just pull this up live that we are going to be seeing Kamala taking Nevada. Obviously, there, I mean, this is a very international audience, so I'm not talking to people that have just been sitting there watching their news in the U.S. all day. But there are a few states which are more important than others. Obviously, the West will shamelessly tell you that your vote is less important than somebody else's vote if you don't happen to live in a swing state. So there's only 7 swing states this election. Nevada is one of them. And if we take a look at Polymarket here, just search for Nevada, we can go ahead and kind of take a look at where these odds are. And actually, no, it is. It looks like it is kind of leaning toward Trump here. There are a couple of different kind of polls, I guess you could call them, for the same thing. So yeah, we're going to have to see how this continues to go on. Next tweet that I wanted to show you here, this is more price action related, wrecked capital. The fact that the $70,000 resistance couldn't reject Bitcoin too much just shows how it was weakening as a point of rejection. I completely agree with this. This is the same diagonal parallel channel that we were looking at, and you can see very clearly now that not only has Bitcoin managed to get firmly into this resistance range, it's also back tested it and successfully found support. It did successfully find resistance, which is not great, but we are now, as an end result, continuing to move sideways above a critical zone of resistance. So I think this is a really big deal, and I think that it's telling us a lot about the state of affairs in this market. If we take a look at this on that exact chart here that I've got drawn for you, I mean, it is just some very pronounced, very clear strength that Bitcoin has been able to show off just above its prior zone of resistance. Initially, we did get that really nice back test a little bit deeper into the range, followed by a big breakout, which to me does everything I need the market to do to tell me that this is a cemented, legitimate price move. But we went ahead and did one better, and we came back for another back test here, and that's the bounce that we're in right now. So, like I said, we really have to move this bounce higher. If we're not able to, it's not going to be great, and it will result in the situation souring for bulls. But again, as far as everything that we could have done so far, we're pretty much looking perfect as far as I'm concerned. Now, we do still have this resistance level floating around at about $67,000, and I think this is where a lot of longs are going to be interested in entering the market. Obviously, I was talking to you guys about how this looked like a phenomenal range to be taking up long positions, and just off this support level now to current price, it's 3% up, to the high, it's 5% up, which are huge moves. Obviously, I didn't actually make this, but if I did make this trade, I probably would have been trading it right here on Bybit, Apex, or Blowfin. Bybit and Apex are both kind of from the same company. Apex is basically Bybit's sister exchange. It's decentralized, very cool the way it's decentralized, and just Blowfin's a great alternative to both of them, so they're worth checking out. The thing that's important about these exchanges is that when you start trading using these links, you're going to get a ton of free cash. Blowfin's the most aggressive in terms of giving you free money, and that is money that you can trade with. Any profits that you generate are going to be yours to keep. So check them out if you're not in a restricted region, if you are allowed to use them. These are really cool exchanges, and I think that there is going to be a really nice opportunity for Bitcoin to kind of come back down here. It's not something that I'd necessarily be interested in trading, but my god, if I had free money, 100% I would. So because it doesn't matter at the end of the day what happens with that free money. So that's definitely interesting to me. But like I said, I think that's going to be interesting. I still wouldn't trade it. Like I said, I don't have access to that free money. Only you guys do. So it's not going to be for me. It's already been tested once, and I do think that kind of invalidation right now is going to be basically below this wick that we've set in here. I think that if Bitcoin does manage to get below this level, it's not going to be great. Like I said, I still got tolerance all the way down to this orange level, but the fact that we've already bottomed out, it makes it much worse now if Bitcoin does come back in this range. So we're going to have to really keep a close eye on this right now. To me, this is going to be a kind of more important invalidation, this yellow line right here. Like I said, I'm still going to have a little bit of tolerance. Pardon me, if it goes below 66 down to this orange line, but significantly less now that we've punched in a low. It's just not going to be a good look. So we are going to have to see a resolution on this hopefully very soon. If we bring it back to the tweets here, we do have a very fun tweet about Bitcoin's parabola potentially here. That Bitcoin has always gone parabolic after a US election. Bitcoin has never dipped back lower than the price on election day. So this is really interesting. Election day 2012, $11.20. Election day 2016, $726. Election day 2020, $13,569. Bitcoin has never come back down to each of those price levels, and those are all of the elections that have happened since Bitcoin was created. So is it possible that we're going to be seeing something similar right now? Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gents, it's so far-fetched to say things like Bitcoin's never dipped back below its price on election day, but we are at a breakout point right now, and if this breakout does actually happen, it's going to be hard for Bitcoin to get back down here. It's not going to be impossible, and it depends on how the breakout happens, but right now, it does look possible to me that these two statements are going to be true for this 2024 election. I think it's too early to say, and I think that it's not good enough right now to be positive, to be confident about statements like this, but we do have the initial setup in place. So we're going to have to see what the market decides to do with it. It's possible that the market decides to do nothing with it and we fail and everything goes horribly, but it's also possible that this turns out to be 100% correct for Bitcoin once again, and I think the technical setup is there, so we'll have to see how that happens. Bitcoin's mining difficulty surpassing 100 trillion here and hitting, of course, a new all-time high. So no surprises there. Bitcoin's mining difficulty keeps going up. That's what we expect with time. And here we've got Vivek for real saying that Donald Trump is likely to win the U.S. elections by a landslide victory. This honestly just depends on not only who you ask, but which social media platforms you go on right now, because it's so different between Trump and Kamala who's going to be winning. I think obviously you're going to have your own opinions on this. We're going to be watching it as we go on, obviously. Kamala Harris is the slight favorite with young men. That seems to be a conclusion that Polymarket is sharing. So, we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes as we continue on with today. Like I said, if you do want to see that election live stream, just tell me and light up those comment sections. If that comment section's lit up, everyone's saying I should be going live, and I certainly have no problem doing that. But if we do take a look at a couple other markets that are going to be important now, let's zoom in on Bitcoin's dominance a little bit. Take a look at this on the weekly time frame to really get an understanding, a little bit of perspective on what we're looking at here. Once again, ladies and gents, no surprises. This is not a chart that's slowing down. I gotta highlight it, right? Because the thing is if I don't talk about the absolutely asinine, stupid shit that people were saying to me down here, if I don't talk about it, then those people or you are just going to make the same mistakes again. And they're just not going to understand that if a market move is not complete, then it's not going to finish. I mean, it sounds so silly to say it out loud, but if we haven't finished a market move yet, which in this case is trending up, then naturally it's not done. If it's not finished, then it's not finished, and that means it's going to keep going. And that's what we've been seeing here with Bitcoin's dominance. There was absolutely no indication that the market was done moving up here, that dominance was done moving up when Bitcoin's dominance was sitting at about 55%. There's absolutely no indication that the move up was complete. And so we've actually continued on very aggressively since then. In fact, I would argue more aggressively. What we've been seeing just over the last month or so has been significantly more aggressive than what came in the prior few months. So actually, we've definitely gained aggression recently compared to what we had for a lot of 2024 so far. And it looks like this thing just wants to keep moving up. So the next big zone of resistance for Bitcoin's dominance is going to be at 70%. And I do think that Bitcoin's dominance can get there. The previous times that Bitcoin's dominance got above this level, it wasn't actually too hard. There are a couple of exceptions, but it typically doesn't seem to be too hard for Bitcoin to get from one level to another. And most importantly, it seems to happen quickly in every single situation. This took Bitcoin just like 10 weeks. On this occasion here, it looks like something similar. Bitcoin's dominance tends to move up really quickly at phases like this, and this so far is not shaping up to be anything different. If anything, it's probably shaping up to be a little bit more aggressive, but if this thing does end up pausing, or if it does end up kind of pulling back, then you've got a ton of support for Bitcoin's dominance here, where this would basically trigger a bit of an altcoin season, a very, very mini one at that, but it would result in probably very substantial gains for altcoin holders at that time. They're probably going to lose the rest of those gains, because I still think Bitcoin's dominance is going to be trending up. But that's kind of the scenario that I see, because, we're not necessarily expecting it to move up in a straight line either, so we got to keep that in mind. I don't know when that mini alt season is going to come. I don't even know if it's going to come, but is this chart due for it? Probably. It just doesn't look like it wants to stop moving up right now, and because it's not a normal price action chart, I'm not going to expect it to pull back just because it looks, quote unquote, overextended. I don't think that it's sensible or safe to make conclusions like that right now, so I won't do it. But I do think that if Bitcoin can get above this little hair that it's dealing with as far as resistance right now, then yeah, I think 70% is going to be on the way, and that's just going to mean more bloodbaths for the altcoin market until things get ready for this market to start getting interesting again. So we're going to be watching that very closely to see how that goes as well for Bitcoin. If we take a look at the altcoin market, the S&P 500 has made a little bit of a recovery right now. Apparently, Jim Cramer is saying that Wall Street is starting to price in a Kamala win, and that's why we're seeing this kind of traditional finance strength right now. I highly doubt that to be the case, but we will see, of course. It is moving very, very well today. It's a very nice recovery here for Tuesday. If we take the election out of it, this is definitely looking like a nice recovery here for the S&P 500, and I think it's why Bitcoin is doing so well as well. So we're going to have to see how this continues to move. It's not going to be too hard for the S&P 500 to start breaking its resistance levels, other than the fact that we do have an election today. So if the election does prove to be a bit of a problem for Bitcoin, then there you go. At least you know about it. I'm sorry for the S&P 500, but as it is right now, I think it's looking pretty good. And the level to break is going to be this all-time high at about 5,800. So we'll see what that looks like for the S&P 500. But the good news is that the dollar is already kind of broken down. The dollar has already chosen the direction that it wants to move in. It's now been 2 days in a row, if we count today, and this is nearly over. We got 3 hours left on this candle here. It's been 2 days in a row where the dollar has moved down quite aggressively. It's the most aggressive movement that we've seen, really, since the dollar started to kind of leave this price range. And it does certainly look like the dollar might be heading down significantly lower. So we're going to have to see what happens. There are some support levels in between, like I've been talking about, like 102, 103, whatever. So we'll see if the dollar is able to bounce off those levels. But if it's not able to bounce off those levels, then it looks like it's probably coming all the way back down to the bottom. That's still what I would probably be expecting, regardless of the support levels in between, that it is probably headed back down to the bottom. It's hard to make that, that call right now, because the dollar is still so close to its resistance level that this could just be a temporary rejection and then we kind of come back up. It has happened before. I wouldn't put my money on it. I wouldn't put my money anywhere, to be quite honest, but if I was forced to, I would probably say that it looks like it's heading down now. So that's probably going to be good for Bitcoin. It's probably going to be good for the S&P 500. It's probably going to be horrible for Bitcoin's dominance. It's probably going to be Bitcoin's dominance keeps going up significantly higher. And yeah, I think Bitcoin's looking overall like it's in a pretty decent spot right now. So we're just going to have to see how this continues to move throughout the course of today. What an interesting day today is so far. Today has been so far. Let's take a very quick look at Cointelegraph, see if there's anything particularly interesting going on over here. And yeah, it's just all election news right now. OpenAI launches consumer hardware division led by former Meta AR boss. Very, very interesting how they just hire off each other. U.S. presidential race bets near $4 billion. $4 billion in bets for the U.S. president. Very, very interesting. Presumably just on Polymarket. Well, yeah, Polymarket. $3.3 billion in betting volume. So maybe the last 700 million. Small money coming from a couple other places. Meet the pro crypto contenders who could replace SEC chief Gary Gensler. That's going to be very interesting. Obviously, this is going to be probably based on the Trump or Kamala thing, one of them two winning. Let's see if there is actually any information on the yeah, no big profiles really, so we'll probably skip over this just now. But yeah, super interesting time, ladies and gents. We'll see how things continue to go. I hope you've enjoyed this one. You know what to do. If you have, hit up those likes, subscribe, click the bell, do all that good stuff. And like I said, you got some huge offers available in the description below if you want to take advantage of them. They're going to give you free money to trade with, and you start trading based on with my links on these platforms. So that's really, really cool. But definitely just check if you are allowed to use these platforms in your country. If you're not in a restricted region, if you are in a restricted region, you can't use it. But if you're not in a restricted region, you're good to go. So definitely check all that out. With that, ladies and gents, hope you've enjoyed this one. You know what to do, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.